Today on Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we're talking about being honest with yourself. Where have you been lying about what's going on or how you're feeling? Why haven't you been able to be completely honest with yourself? How can you gently be truthful with what you need to do? Learn how to stay in tune and be honest with yourself as we begin our month focusing on the change of seasons. Do you control your clutter, or does your clutter control you? On Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, we'll teach you awareness as well as action steps to create change in your life. Come on, let's get started. Hey everyone, I hope that you have had an awesome summer. I am completely grateful for the long break. I completely needed it. It was really crazy, this whole downsizing, moving in, moving out. We had kind of, I don't know if drama is the right word. We just had a lot of junk to deal with right up until the closing. And luckily, my belief in karma will take care of everything. So I'm not going to worry about that. But it was a long, exhausting process. If you're watching this on YouTube, I haven't put up the purple background. We're going to just have this. We've just about unpacked, but my goal is by the end of the year to have gone through another round of downsizing. We're just kind of still figuring it out. I'm in my office. I have a box to unpack, but we went through from a huge bonus room above the garage to a room the size, maybe a third. I'm not good with estimating, maybe half, probably a third. Anyway, so we're just still trying to figure things out. However, I absolutely love, despite not being completely settled in, which sometimes is a challenge for my personality, I love it. Every day we see salamanders and dragonflies and butterflies. We back up to a protected wetland. We got to meet some neighbors at the 4th of July party, and the guy, if you were to cut right through the wetland, the couple that in the family that lives behind us were literally in the same neighborhood we were in. I mean, we could have walked to each other's houses, and they did a quick closing and moved a month before us, but it just kind of cracked me up that someone that close to us ended up moving in the same area. So different vibe of the neighborhood, absolutely grateful. We like our neighbors. We have more space, although less grass to cut, which Tony's been taking over the grass cutting, and I'm just kind of letting him go with that. But very grateful for that. We got an electric lawnmower, but we got the plug-in, so it's a little bit different how you do anything. Anyway, I did not realize how much I needed to be in nature. I mean, our old house, we had trees, but we backed up to kind of a busy street. This is night and day. I've got, if you're watching on YouTube, see my new computer glasses. These are the blue light thingy to help with eye strain, but also all my bug bites. We're going to put up a bat house to help with the mosquitoes, but I absolutely did not realize how much I needed to connect to nature. And we have these beautiful, they're called dinner plate hibiscus. I was like, oh my gosh, I had to post them on Facebook because I had no idea what these plants were. And it looked like there's some tomatoes. I need to go up and kind of string them up because they're coming down like this. And I'm going to try pumpkin seeds. That's the only thing I'm going to try to plant this year. But I am just so grateful. And Tony and I were talking about it. I didn't realize how much I miss nature, which knowing myself shouldn't surprise me, and just the stress of living next to crappy neighbors. I mean, thank God for our neighbors across the street who were amazing. Like the alarm went off at 6:30 in the morning one time. Anyway, it was just, I'm very grateful for them. So thrilled to be here. Still some unpacking and figuring it all out. And the other great news that I have is I have become a foster mom for kittens. And we have Anina, whose nickname is Nini, and Augusta, whose nickname is Gus. They are 2 black tuxedo cats. Someone put out a plea on Nextdoor. They wanted help, and so I responded and then went on vacation. Again, we still haven't closed on the other house. Life is crazy. Pause for Life, which is north near where we used to live, stepped up and is allowing me to foster some kids in a pool net. And Julie and a woman named Amy got the kitties. Amy adopted the gray cat and the runt black cat, and we have the 2 tuxes. We might end up adopting them, but I don't know at this point. We're still, we've got the 3 elderly cats. So anyway, I'm fostering kittens. It's a complete experience. And all I can say is don't ever complain about the cost of adopting from a rescue, because with the number of shots and all the things that they have to get done, they're a bargain. Because we looked into just if no one was going to help me, I thought, well, I've got to figure something out. I can't send them to the animal shelter because unfortunately in rural North Carolina, that just is a hot mess. Pause for Life that I connected with works with a animal rescue in New Hampshire and send cats up there because they've done a really good job with TNR, which is trap, neuter, release. And I believe that's what it stands for. Anyway, I'm really proud of myself. I'm learning about kittens. It's been a really interesting process. So love having them. I have posted some pictures on Instagram if you follow me there, or on Facebook. That is my summer in a nutshell, guys. This is what I have been up to. Absolutely so excited. I'm now living on Abundant Avenue. How great is that? So we are just super duper excited. But I hope that you all have had a great summer, and let's get started with our new episode for the second half of 2019. Today's episode was inspired because I'm sure all of us haven't been completely honest and straightforward with ourselves. And as I was writing this episode, I thought, well, where have you right now? Where aren't you being honest with yourself? And the first thing that popped into my head is I was not always honest with myself when a relationship wasn't working out, when a romantic relationship wasn't working out. And I was able to figure out, well, that's because I'm lonely. And even if this relationship is not a good fit, then it's better being alone, which was for me not really good thinking. And so that, I would say, for most of my life is where I wasn't completely honest with myself. Where I'm currently, and I'm so grateful that I started to write this episode, because I think I told you all my process is come up with an idea, write some notes, and then flesh it out a little more. And I was writing it, I was like, wow, you really aren't honest that you need support in your health. And I haven't been eating well. My excuse was I was really stressed out, guys. It was 5.5 months of house drama and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's over now. And what I realized in preparing this episode is I haven't been honest that I need support. Tony and I joined a gym, and we are really good about supporting each other to get up and go. But I need help with my eating. I haven't been eating well, and that hasn't stopped. And the other thing, and I'm addicted to diet crack cocaine, which I think is the worst thing for you. And so what I also figured out about that is I was thinking about the episode, and, I always like to share this so you know that you're not alone. And I practice what I preach. When I'm supporting you all, it supports me in turn. And that I need help to deal with my grief. It's been a year, and time has healed some for sure, but I still have some underlying grief, sadness, and anger. And so I'm like, okay, it's time to get support. You need help. And so as I was writing this episode, I realized, because that kind of goes hand in hand with the eating. And so and if you have any suggestions, I've looked in Noom and I saw a lot of bad reviews recently. So I'm not quite convinced that's the route to go, but I'm going to belong to a couple groups online, and I'm going to see any feedback to help with losing weight and getting a better handle on that. And I have someone I'm going to talk to about the grief, and then we'll see where we are. But I had to really kind of be honest and say, okay, you can't use the excuse of you're stressed out about the house. So what's really going on here? And writing this episode, it made me get that other connection of it's the eating's due to the grief. So that is, in a nutshell, where I have not been completely honest with myself. If we aren't honest, we can't improve not only ourselves, but our lives. It can keep us in false thinking. Oh yeah, I'm going to eat better tomorrow. And unrealistic expectations. Well, if I eat that salad tomorrow, then I'll lose weight. Have to eat the salad for several days in a row, obviously, with everything else that we need to do to be healthy. And what we're doing is we're ignoring what we don't want to see and choose to see only what we want, kind of those rose-colored glasses or maybe sunglasses blocking the light there. It's a short-term solution a lot of times, but in the long run, what's going on is we're selling ourselves short. And not only do we sell ourselves short, but we can hurt the people closest to us, hurt the people that we love the most. Why aren't we honest with ourselves? Now, I'm going to just talk a moment here about the why. When I saw that mentor that I saw for a while, she said, well, you don't need to know the why. Yes, and sometimes you do need to know the why. And I always like to share the why because I know, especially in the beginning of my process, I needed to understand that. It supported me in being able to help heal and move forward. So examine your why if you need to. And again, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I have found this supportive. So you do you and work best for you. But it might be worth it for you to take time to examine why you haven't been honest with yourself. Usually pain, right? We all like pleasure, pain, not so much. And that's pretty much going to be a big part of it for most of us. Because who wants to feel pain? If we have that hard time, oh, you know what? I crossed a big birthday this year. I'm now 50. Half my life is over if I'm lucky. If I don't think I'm going to live to 90, at 85, that's 35 years left. And if I'm thinking, well, what if I'm in a hot mess at 70 and I can't move and, I don't want to, that doesn't feel good. So who wants to get into all that gunky? Not being honest with ourselves is also a way for relief. Oh, you know what? I can just pretend that plate of nachos is going to be healthy for me. And that gives me temporary relief of all my anxiety or my grief or whatever's going on, right? We don't want to feel pain. We want to have relief. Another reason why we sometimes aren't honest with ourselves or truthful is we don't want to admit the truth and the consequences. There was a book, and I'm not going to share the book or the ending, and because I've seen the movie and read the book, and it was one of those times in the book that I ended it and I said, I need to talk to someone about this. And no one I had known had read it. I was like, oh, this is this ending. And anyway, it was very powerful. But in the book, the girl tells a lie, and the lie ends up having deadly consequences. If we admit the truth about something, we might not like the consequences. Oh, that means I can't eat Reese's peanut butter cup every day if I want to lose weight. And again, that's kind of a very simple example, but think about your life. When have you not wanted to admit the truth because of the consequences? Maybe that what happened did happen. What kept you away from that? Overwhelmed by clutter? Feel stuck? Would you like to feel energized and excited? Are you not sure what direction to go? Julie Coraccio offers lifestyle coaching to people from all walks of life who know something needs to change, but they aren't sure where to start. Visit reawakenyourbrilliance.com to learn how Julie can support you with life coaching. What are the benefits of being truthful with yourself? Well, I'm going to mention clutter. You clear your clutter and you understand what's important. If I'm honest with myself, then I can get healthy and be in better shape physically. If I'm honest with myself and admit I really hate my neighborhood, then we can find another house and I can be happy again. When you're honest with yourself, it allows you to be honest with others. Think about some relationships. Where have you not been honest? I'm going to do a separate podcast about this. I turned 50 this year, and on more than one occasion, and I thought, why can't people just be honest? Oh, let's get together. Well, in one instance, I felt guilty because I had reached out to them for support and they blew me off. And I could just feel that. And so then don't wish me happy birthday because you really don't care and you really don't say that you want to get together and you miss me and blah, 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 because you don't. Again, it is what it is. But it's not fun being on the receiving end when someone's not honest with you and you know that. And if we were all just honest with each other, I think life would be a lot more smoothly. The more honest you are with yourself, the more honest you can be with others. It's same with judgment. The less I judge myself, the less I judge others. When you're truthful, you can get to your soul and who you truly are and your essence. One of the things I really appreciate about doing the work that I do is that I keep discovering all of this groovy stuff about myself. And, for instance, in my business, as I tweak it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm passionate about people clearing clutter, but now I really want to support people with end-of-life planning because that's so important. Like, what is your legacy? What do you want that to be when someone has to deal with this after I've moved on to the next adventure? I want to make it easy for them. And I'm more fascinated by that. And the more honest you are with yourself, that allows you to get the good stuff, the fruit. Being honest with myself that I was settling in relationships and not with guys that were good fit for me allowed me to meet my husband, who's the best thing that ever happened to me. So that's one amazing thing. Also allows you to own your life and take responsibility for your choices. When you aren't honest, what that does is, again, that puts you in the victim energy and you stay stuck. You don't move forward. You don't transform your life. You don't discover your gifts. There are all these things that prevent you from getting at that soul level. And that's not a good place to be when you do that. And again, I mentioned this when I did the show, Reawaken Your Brilliance. And I say this from personal experience. I say it with clients I've worked with. I don't think one person I interviewed disagreed with me, but they all talk about kind of having to walk through that fire of pain. But once you're on the other side, you realize, oh my gosh, it was so much easier to walk through this fire of pain than it was to hold on to it. Everything's energy. So when you're honest with yourself, you're going to free up that energy. If you're lying to yourself, you've got to hold on to that. That is somewhere. And, it's going to come out at some point. If you're trying to push it down. I knew someone that lied all the time to people. And I was like, how do you keep track of it? And then eventually the lies would come out because she couldn't keep everything straight. So think about how that freeing, you're like kind of holding on to it. I think of like when you're stretching the slingshot and you've got all that tension, and that's kind of what's going on as you lie and you aren't honest, and then you let it go and all that energy, and think of what you could be using that energy doing. And then finally, a benefit of being honest with yourself is get in touch with your soul, but it allows you to be authentic and be in line with who you are. Think about someone you really admire that you think's really groovy. Probably part of that is they're authentic. This is who they are. And I'm going to do like a little mini thing on Instagram on why I'm not an influencer, because I get all these people that want to add me. And then I'm like, you've got a bazillion people following you and you hardly follow someone. It's very apparent to me that you have no interest in me and what I have to say. You're just trying to make yourself an influencer. But how authentic is that? Because to me, you're not the real deal. You're trying to portray something, be something that you really aren't. So how do we tell ourselves the truth, right? Easier said than done. Acknowledge that things stink. It's easier to do this and face it, but it doesn't fix the problem. And so if can snowball if we don't take care of it. So boom, stop it in the butt. Okay, you know what? My eating habits stink. They are terrible. And once you're honest and say your statement, remind yourself, okay, be aware, be present as I think about eating a candy bar, or when I'm at the store, putting the candy bar in the basket. So take time to acknowledge what is not going right. And it's painful, but see if you can That's a time to sit and be quiet and tune into your feelings, see what's going on there. Own and take responsibility for your mistakes. Now, I don't like that word. I've done a huge shift when I think about this. If I've learned, I don't consider it a mistake. Good, loving self-esteem comes from being comfortable and being honest with your mistakes and shortcoming. You can learn about it and correct it. I was joking with my husband the other day. I was like, hey, I was honest with you when you got married. I stink at ironing. This is not some surprise on you. This is something I didn't spring on you. I'm horrible at ironing. And my list of priorities, being the best ironer in the world, is not up there. So I can own it. I take responsibility for it. And, my husband, I'm like, if you want other options, take it to the cleaners. I'm not going to do that. But if I own and take responsibility for my mistakes, I have to own that I'm putting junk food in my mouth and I'm taking responsibility for it. But within this process of being honest, I can say, I need help. I need support. I don't know what to do. I have been avoiding this grief. That's really kind of what's the core. What can I do to change that? And that leads us into our next point of doing this. Know that you don't know it all. I don't know it all. I'm far from it. I'm not perfect. I still have a bazillion lessons to learn. And I don't know how to deal with this grief. I don't know what to do. I need support. Tony just got a promotion. And one of the things he's struggling with is he doesn't know it all. And I've said to him, that's okay. You have probably year to 18 months to really learn more about your craft and what you're doing. It's okay not to know it all. But sometimes when we aren't able to admit it, it leads us to be stubborn and irrational. And we may ignore evidence that contradicts our current beliefs. And so one of the things this allows you to do, or what I suggest doing, is to be more flexible with your beliefs in life. One of the things that bums me out is when I meet people. Like, I have my brother-in-law and I have very different political views. I actually need to respond to an email, but he was on the phone. He and Tony were talking. I said, hey, Paul, I want to ask your opinion on something. And so he said, well, here, blah, blah, blah. And so then he followed up with some news articles. And I was able to say, okay, I get this point, but like in everything, they're bad, whatever, in every profession, person, life. And you're talking about a small number who've done this. Well, anyway, so we have a really open discussion, and that allows me to be more flexible with my beliefs in life. I try to be very aware of not pushing it on others and being open, because I'm learning. I want to constantly learn. And, my beliefs have shifted. I'm trying to understand this quantum physics stuff a little more. It makes my brain hurt, but it's made me kind of, oh, interesting. And so that's why I work with someone, do work on myself, because I don't want to become stagnant. I want to be able to be flexible. And, I should joke that I was about as flexible as wood. So accept you don't know it all and be open to hearing perspectives, opinions, and you just might have that aha moment. Tune into your feelings. What's behind the emotions, your thoughts, your actions, your situations? If you have that knowledge, it will allow you to deal differently in the future. Like preparing for this episode made me realize, wow, your eating habits were masked by all the craziness for 5 months. But now that we've kind of settled, we realize it's really about grief. Oh, okay. So in the future, I can say, do I need to cry right now? What's going on? Instead of immediately trying to block the emotion. What am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling sadness. I'm feeling hurt right now. Tuning into your feelings allows you to do that. And a lot of us are afraid to tune into our feelings. Again, that relates to that honesty. Like, what's going to happen if I feel this pain? Can I survive it? Yes, you can. Pay attention to what you're feeling. And once you've tuned in, they can guide you to what you need to do. Like I mentioned a moment ago, I didn't know how much I needed to be more in nature. If I hadn't moved, we wouldn't have discovered it. And I can see the difference with Tony and the cats. The cats quite haven't adjusted. Although the good news is we did put in a fence and it's now really hot and humid. I hate this weather. In September can't come soon enough. I'm hoping we have a cool September. But how much I was really unhappy. I don't think I was aware of it. So I was like, oh, we're moving, I'll deal with this. But how much I had to tune in and say, I need nature. I need flowers. I get joy when I see a butterfly. Take time to reflect. This is going to allow you to be more honest with yourself. Remember that you want to get neutral, not to be judgmental or critical, because that gets you stuck in like the spinning your wheels and not moving forward. What did I do well? Take time to acknowledge what you did do well. What could I have done better? Do I need some professional support? Could I have handled that situation differently? Always be checking in with yourself and give yourself an honest scorecard. As you become more honest with yourself, practice being more honest with others. If you really don't want to get together with someone, that's fine, but don't lie and say you do. Where do you need to be more honest with others? Keep being truthful with yourself. Like anything, it's a muscle to build. Remind yourself that you're better off in the long run. These temporary reliefs, short-term solutions really end up costing you in the end. If you need to temporarily stop the pain, it's okay. If you don't need to be honest, you kind of need to take a few days off, do it. But you need to make sure that you get back on the saddle. And I had to ask myself when preparing this episode, is there any time that it's okay not to be honest with yourself? And I am going to say yes. And I know that there are people who are out there that are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. If you need to get through a really rough period situation, then I think it's okay. Sometimes you have to do what you got to do. Like I mentioned, I believe when I did the podcast last year on grief, like I just ate crap. And as much as I'm giving myself a hard time, I've started to cook again since moving, healthy. I'm just a little too heavy on the snacky snacks and have to cut that and need to lose weight for health. But I have made good progress in some areas. So, and I have a green smoothie just about every day. So I have made strides to move forward, but I just know that I need more support. But I don't care what I eat. I just need, if I do not have a distraction, as soon as some of this stuff happened, I just don't know what I've done. So in that situation, sometimes you have to do what you got to do. The key with that is to not stay there and to not do it all the time. Be judicious when you do this. So again, that takes the time of reflecting, and if you have a good support system. And, I remember asking Tony once, I'm like, do I say this a lot? And he said, yeah. And I was like, wow. And I'm writing a book about that, guys, about my experience with the women's group. I think it's a story that needs to be told. I'm betting that I'm not the only one out there that's gone through something similar. Take actions from today's podcast. Reflect where you're not being honest in your life. Be aware of why you aren't being truthful. Write a list of how you'll benefit by being honest with yourself. Acknowledge what isn't working. Express gratitude for what's going right in life. Take responsibility for your life. Use your emotions as a roadmap for change. Accept you don't know everything. Be honest with yourself and others. On our next 1 Minute Wisdom, we're talking about change. Go out, clear your clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. When you clear your clutter, you can share your gifts with the world. Sign up for our free newsletter at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. If you've enjoyed Clear Your Clutter Inside and Out, please rate, review, and share us.